I guess I feel like a lot of our students are coming from places where their parents, if they have two parents, which isn't always the case, and more likely than not, it's either one parent household or a parent and a step parent. I feel like we don't have a lot of parents, a lot of our students don't have two parents in the home, two real parents, two of their parents in the home. And if they do, a lot of times these parents are working two jobs. Sometimes they may be working the night shift. So our students are really in control of taking care of themselves. So they're coming home, getting dinner ready for themselves. They are in charge of figuring out how to do their homework. There's definitely not a place for them to do homework. It's the kitchen table, it's in front of the TV. There's no one monitoring that they get their homework done. There's no one checking in on them. And that's not because the parents don't want to, it's because the parents have to work two jobs or have to work the night shift. You know, and then if they're working the night shift, which they come home and they're exhausted, so they're sleeping when their kids are getting up, or maybe they've already left for work, so the kids are getting up on their own. They're getting their breakfast, if really they get breakfast, which you and I probably have seen many of our kids drinking, you know, mochachinas in the morning, or eating hot chips, or doing whatever. So they're starting the day with not even a really good breakfast. If anything, they have to figure out how to get themselves to school if they don't take the bus. They have to sometimes get younger brothers and sisters to school because their parents aren't there or their parents are sleeping, so that they can get to work at a crazy hour. So I think those are just basic things that you and I take for granted because we had parents that got us up in the morning, or had dinner on the table, or at least had something that these kids are taking responsibility for. And I think that's really common around that, especially when we're seeing more and more money issues. A lot of our students are taking on adult problems, whether that's because their parents are talking to them about them, but I've had a lot of students talking about foreclosure. So they are worried, and they might be worried for a year, worrying about whether they're going to get kicked out of their home or not, and they're going to have a place to live. And that's, I mean, it's not super common, but it's common, you know. The parents talk to their kids about these problems, so the kids are really worried about those. And, you know, I tell my kids those are adult issues, but they bleed into their lives, so they don't know where they're going to live, or they're worried about, well, what if my parents can't pay the mortgage, or what if we can't pay the rent? I've had kids tell me that they're, you know, 3 families are living in one home because they take their other family members in because they've lost their house or lost their apartment, or their family has lost and had to have gone to live with someone else. So that's kind of crazy, 3 families in one small place to live. So again, those are things that we take for granted, a roof over our heads, but our kids are worrying about those things. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that you know, those are bigger issues than whether they get their homework done sometimes. And I'm not saying it's not important. Of course, I think getting their homework is important. I think being here is important. But sometimes the bigger things are really impacting those things for them.